Hello to you all. Do you know what I've been doing these past years? I've been giving lectures, writing books, and now we have 18 of them. We've written books about spirituality, about minerals, we've written novels, and I can say that I myself never really put much into spirituality. I never believed and I was never blindly religious like a Christian or a Buddhist or anything like that. And honestly, I always thought that people who pray a lot and constantly appeal to God are just lazy. They try to shift their responsibility for life upwards, hoping that what they need will just fall down to them from above. The lectures we gave all over the country and even in Germany focused on a simple thing: ordinary life. Each of us has the opportunity to observe how life works, how thoughts work, how energy works, when we're happy, when we're unhappy, when we're joyful, when we're down in the dumps and feeling depressed. We all know this and we know it very well. And on our little internet TV channel, which is called Mila TV, we decided to create a section for mini lectures. That means short lectures, each lasting a maximum of 15 minutes on various topics. I live in Sušice or near Sušice. I used to live in Sušice before, and I can say that people here think we're crazy because they believe we've lost our minds, that we're some kind of sect, that we go pray to little angels, and who knows what else. There have been all sorts of rumors going around here, but so far none of those who gossip about us have bothered to actually find out what we're really talking about here or what we write in those books. And if they had just a bit of curiosity and interest and didn't just judge, which is incredibly easy these days, to condemn someone without knowing a thing about them, they would find out that our books are about ordinary life and about ways to be happy in life, how to find meaning, how to discover things for yourself, and how not to fall into some sect or religion. Not to lose your head over money either, which is also a kind of religion. And what our group here, and what I personally am trying to do, is to show how we can look at our lives from a slightly different perspective. And let me tell you, that different perspective is a huge problem, because we all just follow along like sheep, sticking to one template. It's a template that everyone is supposed to live by. And God forbid if one person steps out of that template, looks at it from the other side and says, damn, we're going about this all wrong. Isn't that kind of weird? We live superficial lives. We don't care about our feelings or about human things in general. We only care about who has what kind of car, who has what kind of house, who makes how much money. This is our whole life, the way we live. And in all that rush, we forget to look at ourselves. We forget to look in the mirror to see what we actually look like, how we behave, whether we're open, honest, and whether we're even happy. I think that the happiness in life, the one we're all desperately chasing somewhere and want to buy as soon as possible so that everything is calm, so we don't have to do anything with ourselves and it just falls into our lap by itself. That happiness is within us. Those are nice words, right? But how do you actually make that work in real life? And our whole group is trying to do nothing else but bring these things into practical, everyday life. How do you forgive people who hurt you? How do you love people who despise you or mock you? How do you manage to put up with yourself? How do you stay in a relationship when there are disagreements and you can't be open with each other? All of these, I call them spiritual exercises because they concern our soul and our consciousness, our emotions, our spiritual life. Spiritual life is nothing more than the life of our thoughts, and I believe everyone lives it. Even the biggest atheist thinks. I think they would admit that. And the moment someone starts thinking they're living a spiritual life, we're entering the realm of the intangible because thoughts can't be weighed or measured. In essence, they shouldn't even exist. And yet we all know very well that we have them, and every thought is basically an impulse for us to either move forward or, on the contrary, to just sit on our butts and do nothing. But let me get back to the topic of our mini lectures. We will be talking about ordinary things, and we'll start with faith, which I see as something completely ordinary. It's not a matter of church or meditation, but rather about what we believe in, what we love, what we want, and what we expect from life. There will be quite a few of these lectures, mini lectures, and I will try to speak clearly and loudly so that I can be heard on the microphone, because sometimes I mumble. That's my problem, and I will try to talk about things that I have personally experienced and lived through. I have no right to lecture anyone. I can only inspire, and that through my own life. Each of us has the opportunity to verify everything in practical life. how energies work, how thoughts work, whether something like human destiny exists, whether reincarnation works, or whether when we kick the bucket, we just rot and that's it, or whether our soul goes somewhere and we are born again. These are all questions that people nowadays don't like to hear and especially don't like to deal with. Why bother with such crap when you could buy yourself a nice car, line your pockets well, stuff your belly with junk food, and then maybe end up with cancer because the food we eat is unhealthy? Our times are completely unhealthy, and if we look at them from a real perspective, not from the template we're walking in, we'll grab our heads and say, good grief, what kind of world are we actually living in? Lots of people suffer from depression and very few are truly happy. The better off we are materially, the more we suffer spiritually, in the sense that we have no one to love, and even when we feel like we're on top of the world. And I think our lives are quite short, but they give us a great opportunity to get to know ourselves, to learn to make peace with the people around us, to find friends. And I believe that, at least in my life, that's the most important thing. To love the people around you, and simply to create a family. I used to want to close myself off within my family and not let anyone else in. Then I realized that it didn't make me happy, that I needed to have friends around me, and now I see family as a living organism where things are constantly happening and being worked out. And without dealing with things, life might be suffering, because just enjoying yourself is something that only lasts a few years. I'm also speaking from my own experience. I also spent a few years living it up like a pig in clover, and I can tell you, the first year as a pig in clover is wonderful. It's euphoria, it's booze, parties, women, just everything. I thought I had outsmarted the whole system. But try it for a second year, a third year, and then you start getting headaches from it, you get bored, and you realize you need something more than just living in a state of euphoria. And I can say that you can't live without euphoria. But when euphoria gets out of hand, you can't live like that either. So our previous lectures will focus on human topics, meaning the things we deal with in everyday life, often without even realizing it. Because as I said, we often do things in a routine, mechanical way. We just do it that way, so we don't even think about it. Nowadays, openness is a problem, a big problem. Everyone manipulates something, plays some kind of role, puts on a facade. Our entire market system is one big scam, where we try to rip others off and get money so we can live well, because that's what makes sense. It's been scientifically proven, and I don't like to talk about science, but I think this really is scientifically proven that you can't take a single penny with you to the grave. I have a problem with that too, because I collect stones, and I'd love to take my whole collection to the grave with me, but it just doesn't work that way. I think that when every person is dying, they reflect. And I believe we all realize that the only thing we take with us is what we've experienced, what we've understood, what we've experienced. And life is indeed too short for us to fully understand absolutely everything in a single human lifetime. So I truly think that if there is any genuine cosmic justice, we should certainly get another chance to properly fix the significant messes we're currently making. Without making any mistakes, a person simply cannot move forward in their understanding, in their profound understanding of life, or spiritually, if you prefer to consider it that way. The mistakes we make are very important for us to be able to figure out how to move forward. Simply put, what is good for us and what is bad. Practical experience can't be bought, can't be paid for. There simply are only true possessions that stay with us, and each person walks through life, through their destiny, as they need to. I think that the freedom we have achieved, namely spiritual freedom, means that we can talk about whatever we want and whoever wants to can listen to us. Whoever doesn't want to doesn't have to listen to us. We can believe whatever we want, and no one will burn us at the stake anymore for believing in something different than what is allowed or prescribed. All of this is an enormous gift, but people don't even realize it, and we're constantly grumbling about how bad things are and how the world should change for the better. And I think that the change we have in mind for the better is only material, so that we have more money, so that we live better, so that everyone lives like a pig in clover. I wish it for everyone. Let everyone try what it's like to be a pig in clover. Just look at those politicians, those billionaires and those rich people. Look at how they turn out. When you look into their eyes, they don't look happy. They look like pigs in clover that have started to rot there a bit and no longer know how to dig themselves out of it. Our mini lectures will focus on human problems. And there are quite a lot of those problems. We'll touch on partnership, and I can say that for me, this is what spirituality is about. These are things that concern everyday life. How do you handle a crisis with your wife? How do you explain to your kids when they're jumping all over you that they shouldn't steamroll their dad, that he's getting older and wants to get some sleep? And there are plenty of such situations in everyday life, and if we can understand and handle them, we can be happy. Life can actually bring us joy. At least that's been my experience. If I understand something and manage it in my life, suddenly I feel happy. I'm not jumping around like a maniac all the way up to the ceiling, but I just have this beautiful inner feeling. I feel good, and I have a joy that I can pass on. Because I'm happy, I can make the people around me happy too. Since I'm in a good mood, others can be inspired by it and either catch it from me or not. That's up to each individual. So we have the power in our hands to lead by example, and an example can work wonders. So in our mini lectures, we'll reflect on many problems of everyday life. And it won't be any lecturing or spirituality, but rather a few examples and maybe even some interesting stories that I've experienced myself or that my friends and acquaintances have gone through. So let's dive into the mini lectures. I invite you, and if you're interested and enjoy it, you can check them out. There will be quite a few of them,